Hi everybody, my name's Chelsea Price and I'm one of the lead communication and marketing officers for the Clwyd Pension Fund. Today I'll be giving you a bite-sized overview of the types of retirement in local government pension scheme, including early, flexible and ill health. Whether you're already familiar with the LGPS or new to the scheme, I hope that this session will give you some useful insights and answer any questions that you might have. I think the presentation will finish a little earlier than the time we have given today. So please put all your questions in the Q&A facility that you will find at the top of the screen, and I will try and answer some of those at the end of the presentation, but we will be following up with a FAQ document, possibly next week, that will be sent out to everybody. Just a heads up to those that are joining us now, this session is being recorded, but all of your camera and microphones have been turned off. So please only use the Q&A facility for any generic questions. If you have any questions about your personal record, you should get in touch with your pension fund directly and they will be able to help you. And contact details for each fund involved in this Pensions Awareness Week will be made available at the end of these slides. So, if you're thinking about retirement, there are a couple of things that I want to let you know that I think are quite important. The first is that you can't just take your benefits once you turn 55. You can only access your pension and any lump sum once you retire from your position. The second is that you can't take some lump sum now and the pension at a later date or vice versa. You must take your pension and lump sum at the same time. So now that I've cleared that up, let's discuss the different types of retirement. So you can go on time, early, or even late if you fancy. Now, for normal retirement, you can claim your pension benefits from your state pension age or 65 if later. You don't need your employer's consent, you just need to work your notice period that's set out in your contract of employment. If you want to go early, you can go from age 55 and claim your pension and lump sum. However, you should know that this minimum age is increasing up to 57 in April 2028. So please bear this in mind throughout the rest of the presentation when I mention age 55. Again, for early retirement, you don't need your employer's consent. You just need to work your notice period. And if you do decide to retire early and claim your pension will include reductions for early retirement, which I'll be able to show you on the next slide. And you can even continue working beyond your normal retirement age, but your pension must be paid to you no later than age 75. So if you are still working beyond 75, then your employer will opt you out of the pension scheme and you must take your pension immediately. And in the same way that your benefits are reduced for early retirement, they're increased for late retirement as well. So these are the early retirement reductions that I just referred to. And these are the reductions for each full year. So any actual reduction will be based on the exact number of years and days early you retire. And it is worth knowing as well that you might actually have 2 or 3 different normal retirement ages. So 2 or 3 different percentage reductions will apply to different parts of your pension. So for example, the retirement age for final salary benefits is age 65 instead of your state pension age. And the rule of 85 means that for some members, you could have an even earlier retirement age again for your pre-1st of April 2008 benefits. Now, your funds should have information available to you explaining the rule of 85. Get in touch with them if you've heard of that and think that it might benefit you and you'd like some more information. If you'd like to see the exact reductions that would apply to your own benefits if you were to take early retirement, get in touch with your pension fund to request an estimate or log into your online accounts to use the projectors and calculators on there. So moving on now to flexible retirement. If you aren't quite ready to retire in full, you might have the option to retire flexibly. So each employer will have their own policy on the matter and will need to provide their consent, but the idea is that you can reduce your hours or grade, earning a reduced salary and claim your pension at the same time. How long the flexible contract lasts for or how much you can reduce your hours by is determined by your employer's policy. So this is nothing to do with your fund, it's all based on each individual employer. If you have Rule of 85 protections, they will also be considered. And once you flexibly retire, your employer will also re-enroll you back into the pension scheme in your new job. This allows you to build up a second pension pot to top up your existing pension when you retire in full, but this is optional, however, and you can opt out if you wish. So you might also wonder what happens to your pension if you are made redundant from age 55. Now, as long as you've met the vesting period of 2 years in the scheme to be eligible for a pension, your pension and any lump sum is paid immediately and unreduced. So those early retirement reductions I showed you earlier do not apply for redundancy. The benefits you receive are based on the pension and lump sum you've built up to the date you are made redundant. You do not receive extra years unless this is something offered as part of the redundancy package by your employer. So it's not standard to give you extra pension on top of what you've already built up. If you're made redundant, you must take your benefits. You can't decide to defer payment or transfer your benefits somewhere else. Now, these are the current rules on redundancy, but they are subject to change by UK government. And finally, any redundancy payments offered by your employer are separate to and on top of your pension benefits. So that, for example, is the statutory redundancy payment. Moving on now to ill health retirement. You can be granted ill health retirement at any age if, based on the opinion of an independent doctor, your employer determines that you are permanently incapable of discharging efficiently the duties of employment that you currently have, and you are not immediately capable of undertaking gainful employment. Depending on how ill you are, your pension may also be increased. So it's not up to the pension fund to determine if you're suitable for ill health retirement. The application is employer-led, so if you think this might be something that you need, please speak to your employer's HR department. They will be able to advise you on the application and provide you with written confirmation of the outcome of your application as well. So if approved for ill health retirement, you'll be granted either tier 1, 2 or 3. Different levels of pension are paid depending on how severe your condition is and how likely you are to be able to return to work. Tier 1 being the most severe means you would receive an enhanced pension, as pretending you worked all the way up to your normal retirement age. This is payable for life. If you were granted tier 2, you would receive the pension you've built up in your own right, plus 25% of the tier 1 award, and this is also payable for life. And finally, tier 3. You can receive the pension you've built up in your own right early and without any reductions, but there is no enhancement. This is paid for a maximum of 3 years with an employer review after 18 months. So a tier 3 review is to determine if you're capable of returning to gainful employment. If it's decided that you are, your pension payments will stop. If you're 55 plus, you can ask us to reapply to pay your pension, but this will be subject to the usual early retirement reductions if applicable. If it's decided that you're unable to return to gainful employment as your condition has worsened, you'll be upgraded to tier 2 and will receive that pension for the rest of your life. Now, some of you might also have deferred pensions as well as your active ones, as you have pension records for each employment you've held. So a deferred member is somebody who is no longer paying pension contributions in that post. So If you become ill as a deferred member, your pension could also be paid on ill health grounds. And if you satisfy the conditions, your deferred pension would be paid immediately without reduction for early payment, but with no enhancement as there are no tiers. So if you do have a deferred record, and that is with a previous employer different to your current active employer now, you'll need to get in touch with them directly to follow the process for application for ill health retirement with them. So when you come to take your pension, you'll also have the option of taking a lump sum. Members can swap pension for lump sum, whatever type of retirement they are taking, whether that be voluntary, flexible, redundancy, or ill health. Now, if you joined the LGPS before the 1st of April 2008, you'll already have an automatic lump sum. However, you can still use this option to increase your lump sum if you wanted to. So how does it work? For every £1 of yearly pension you give up, you receive £12 extra lump sum. As an example, if you gave up £1,000 worth of pension a year, this would generate a lump sum worth £12,000. Now, generally speaking, the lump sum will be tax-free for most members. However, the government do set a limit on how much tax-free cash people can get from their pensions, and this is just over £268,000. So if your lump sums across all your pensions are less than this limit, your lump sum with us will be tax-free. To make sure you are within those legal limits, we will need you to provide us with proof of details of any other lump sums you have already taken. So please make sure you keep any relevant paperwork from any other pensions that you have with these details, as your fund will ask for them before they can pay you your benefits. So if you wanted to know how much your lump sum could be, scan the QR code or visit the calculator on the National Member website to have a look. Alternatively, you can also ask your funds to produce an estimate for you or use those benefit calculators on your online portal I mentioned earlier. So all members will receive the standard retirement option and maximum conversion lump sum option as part of the retirement pack. You'll simply complete the forms to let us know how you would like to take your benefits when the time comes. So what happens if you leave before age 55? So depending on your age when you leave the scheme, there are three options. If under 2 years service, you'll receive a refund of contributions so long as certain conditions are met. This is because there is a vesting period of at least 2 years in our scheme before you're entitled to a pension. If you have over 2 years service, you're not of an age where you can claim your pension just yet, but your benefits will be deferred and payable at your normal retirement age or from 55 with a reduction. You could transfer out to another pension scheme if you wanted to, but you must do this at least 12 months before your normal pension age. If you wanted to transfer out, you would simply need to contact your new pension provider, let them know that you have a pension within the LGPS, and they'll provide you with all the relevant forms you'll need to initiate a transfer out investigation. And finally, you could combine your pension benefits with a new LGPS pension record in the same fund or a new one if you have moved. So that's all from me today with regards to the presentation. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. I hope this has helped make your retirement options feel a little bit clearer and shown just how valuable your pension really is. If you've got any questions or you just want to chat more about your pension, please get in touch with your funds.